Hey, y'all, welcome back to Fake Deep Thinking. Just a group of guys talking about news, culture, and sometimes, yep, politics. Let's introduce the crew. We got John,
You're
we have Doc,
Yo,
Ian in the figurative back,
Hey, yo.
and myself, Eugene. All right, so quick announcements before we get into the podcast. Um, we won't be doing podcast. I'm gonna say for this week and next week because Ian and I are going up to Wisconsin to learn how to farm. We're going to be cutting, tilling, well not tilling, but the whole process when it comes to doing hay. We're basically going to get a quick rundown crash course of what it means to utilize some farm equipment to pack up hay, to store it, move it, all that kind of stuff. We're going to Wisconsin and we're going to be getting a crash course on some farming. So that's going to be fun.
up.
You said, how did I set that up?
Yeah, is that like a school you applied to, or
No.
like a?
Nah, it's a family friend. I'll tell you about it off the when we're done.
Okay.
Yeah, I
how
don't
long
want
is
to.
this crash course?
Like I said, a week or 2 weeks. I'm not 100% sure because they're right now it's cutting season for them, so they have to cut all the hay. Then they got to collect all the hay. Then they got to bale all the hay, and they have to do that within a certain time frame. So they're trying to get us up there so we can be there for that process. And then they also are going to teach us what it means to raise some cattle, how to pick cattle, how to raise the cattle, how to take care of the cattle, how to slaughter the cattle, all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna get
Hey, you need to set up a summer scared straight boot camp on your farm.
why?
Have people pay you to send their kids to get free labor.
You know what? You got me. All right, you know what? You got me. All right, hey. All right.
Don't worry, I'll take care of marketing.
Oh my God, you convinced me there. That's all you had to say. Free labor. I'll work them straight. Wait, hold
Free,
on.
100%.
All right. John's also moving, and Doc has some plans. So it's going to be a short podcast. So we have some fun topics that we're going to talk about to keep it kind of short. So
You say
Josh,
fun.
On like titties.
we'll see how fun they are. You know how we go with our conversations. We like to go a little bit, around and about.
You say fun, and like the first headline says cancer, and I'm like, yeah.
That is true.
Let's get right into it. Perfect segue. So we have from the Daily Mail. This is a little bit of an old one, but I thought we had to talk about this. So my boyfriend's cancer battle was ruining my mental health. So I left him. Now I'm running a marathon in his honor.
In his honor, like he lost his fight.
Did you lose the fight?
Let's read and find out. Let's read and find out.
I'm about to close my laptop, dog. I'm about
Hey,
to close this shit, dog.
let's let the
Log
fun
off the
begin.
internet forever.
All right. A woman running the London Marathon for her ex-boyfriend has admitted she left him because she couldn't cope with his cancer battle. Danielle Epstein, hell of a name, 32, was buying a house with Gilles Frezin in London last year when he was diagnosed with a rare form of brain tumor at just 37. He needed a complex operation, radiotherapy, and chemotherapy and had to learn to walk again. While all this was going on, physics teacher Daniel began having panic attacks and her mental is it Daniel or Danielle? Danielle began having panic
Danielle.
attacks, yeah, and her mental health plummeted. So she ended their relationship. She moved to Thailand but remained friends with Gel and is now running a marathon for a brain tumor charity. So far it seems like he survived still or still battling. She said she was still, quote, figuring out her friendship with Jail, adding, I felt like the most awful person, leaving somebody because they have cancer, but it was damaging mental health and wasn't helping Jail. You're a pretty awful person. I'll go on a limb and say I think you're pretty awful for that. The couple were buying a house in Palmer's Green, North London, when Joe, who works at the Google software engineer, began vomiting and having dizzy spells. After numerous consultations with GPs and ineffective treatments for an ear infection, the vomiting became much worse. Joe went for a private MRI scan using his health insurance with Google. Doctors found a grade 4 medulloblastima tumor, normally a cancer that affects children, and he was booked in for surgery in September. Danielle said, we were on a certain path to a certain future, and within one day, we knew it wasn't going to work out like that anymore. It's interesting she worded it that way. I'm gonna come back to that. I was worried and devastated. I couldn't sleep or eat. I was having panic attacks and was on much medicate on so much medication to sort out myself. I just couldn't function. Realizing that I had to split up, she moved to Thailand with her father, but she has stayed friends with Jail and kept up to date with his recovery. Following his operation, Jill had nerve damage that paralyzed the right side of his face, leading to a squint that causes double vision. He also can't fully close his eye and must use eye drops and ointments. Explaining her decision to run the London Marathon in his name for brain tumor research, she said, I felt so helpless watching all this unfold, so I knew I had to do something.
Yo, let there not be any irony lost on the fact that she ran away physically and emotionally.
For real.
Like she had to do something. I had to run.
I had to
Looking
run
at
it. Yo, oh my god. Okay, let me
I
finish
can
this out.
I can guarantee you staying there to fucking give him eye droplets was more helpful than running a fucking marathon in his name.
All right, let me
The-
read a couple more and then let's share our opinions. Quote, I'm not a runner. Yeah, my
she's a
doubts.
track star.
But Jill has done marathons before, so I thought it would be a challenge for me and nice tribute to him, and it felt like something to aim towards. I won't be fast, but I'm determined to get round. Training has been tough physical and mentally. Just keeping going when
MVP.
you're so bored is challenging. When you're so bored, yo, her
Wait, reread that sentence. Sorry, I
yeah,
was looking at
yeah.
the alien versus predator scar on the back of his neck. Can you repeat that, please?
Training has been tough physically and mentally. Just keeping going when you're so bored is challenging.
I guess because the
I ain't gonna lie,
race
there's
is
a lot of
bored.
people who suffer from real ADHD too, dude. And it's like
I
social ADHD. Like
Nah.
there no, it's a thing now. People are like, dude, we're not getting healthier. I'll tell you that much. Like people are suffering from social ADHD. There are people who literally will just the urge to they just have to go out. Like they have to do something. They have to just like they're not okay with
Sitting
not.
still and being alone.
It's not even sitting still, doing the same thing. Going to work every day. There are people who have ADHD from that. I need to be doing something else. Have a great job, be happy at their job, but just be bored.
I
I
have
want to
met
get
people that like they get I don't know, freaked out with routine. And eventually,
Hmm.
like they just have like outburst.
So let me read this. He had some quotes here. Let me read his quote. So, Jell, who supports his ex girlfriend's attempt to help, said, I will be
Jesus
there on
fuck.
the day to cheer Danielle on. I think it's incredible what she's doing. When she said she was going to do a marathon, I must admit I had my doubts. Excuse me. I think she only did about 5 kilometers. I think is km, right? Km is kilometers. When we were together, and that was with a lot of complaining. I've got so much respect for her discipline and perseverance. Danielle said, I still love Jell deeply and want to support him, but I came to realize I couldn't stay with him as his partner. We're still figuring things out and finding ways to continue a relationship as friends. All right, I need to
She
read more.
couldn't go without sex.
Yo, I don't even think that's what it was. I think, okay, I'm going to see my piece. I
I'm
think
being
what it came down.
shallow. I know what you're gonna say,
No,
but go
I'm
for it.
gonna. I'm being shallow too. I think it's coming back onto the simple phrase she said here. They had an idea of what their lifestyle was gonna be like. The moment he got cancer, she wasn't gonna see herself getting that lifestyle anymore. It became a lot harder, more challenging, more stressful, and she was like, "Nope, I don't want to deal with it."
I only have 2 points of devil advocacy. One, if this isn't something, this was her boyfriend, not her husband.
Yes, that's true.
So,
How long were they dating? Is my question. It never said.
eh. So, I mean, I get you though. Like personally, I would care, but like, I
I would care
guess
too.
since I already knew she left him, it's like, eh. But one is they weren't married, so that's a tough commitment to make. That is a tough commitment to make when you're not sure how it's going to end up. um I it's not my belief that she has to be with him. it's my belief that maybe it could have been handled differently, or maybe she could have been there longer as a support system for him, and then, you know what I'm saying, moved about. But like, that's not what. If you're married, it's different. But if you're dating, that's not. I guess you're allowed to make that decision. I wouldn't make that decision. I'm gonna be clear with you. I wouldn't make that decision. But like,
I'm not upset with the
also,
decision.
I could.
It's more of the timing. Like from the way the article read, before he even went into surgery, before he even came like he was dealing with it, she
She left.
left. It's like
Correct.
there's a horrible timing. You could have at least, like you said, been there for a little bit of support, realize it's not for me, but at least you tried. It seems like, and we could be wrong here, she didn't even try. It was like, oh, you're
Yep.
sick, deuces.
It does seem like she didn't try. As soon as she got the diagnosis, it seemed the way it was worded, it seems like that was the
So
end
instead
all
of,
be all. But the only reason I say that too is it's very possible. Like we've had this conversation on the podcast before. We can't tell people what's a major trauma to them or not, as long as they see it that way. Like if they receive something in a way that's emotionally distressing, regardless if I view it as emotionally distressing or not, if they view it that way, their body, everything is going to coincide with what they're telling you, what they're feeling. So it's possible she felt panicked. It's possible she did all those things. But all that shit came from a selfish place. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like all of it came from a selfish place. But that's all I have for her is like, yeah, that's tough, dude. Like that's not something that somebody should just have to like, you know what I'm saying? That's tough. But at
it's
the same
wild.
time, like the real problem here, honestly speaking, is she running this marathon. That's the problem. She could have
Nah,
left him and not there been no news article, but the comfortability she had, the writer of this article did not find her.
nah, I
She
think
publicized this enough to the point where it reached, and then the story was published. Meaning she was also wanting credit for staying or doing something for somebody she didn't even stay with. So that to me is the real like. But other than that, I
Yeah,
don't care for the bitch.
I
Like,
definitely agree
that's
with
crazy.
that. And like by the end of the article, it seems like she's the one that had cancer by the end of the article. When it's just like she's so strong, and like even the dude's like, I'm so proud of her for her getting through this, and like
He's a cunt.
she be,
I'm sorry. I
and
don't
I'm
care if he
like,
got
bro,
cancer
you're
or
the one
not.
with the cancer. Like,
I was gonna say it too, John. I'm right there with you. I was gonna say it too. That was a point I was gonna make. At what point do we blame the guy? Why are you there
Son,
supporting her when she should have been there to support you? Why is
do,
she brave and persevering when you're the one who's brave and persevering? Like,
do
yeah,
y'all know
why
me?
are you allowing this? Why are you still talking to her? Why are you still trying to be her friend?
Why does
Cut the
this
bitch
headline not
off.
say this dumb bitch? Why does
This
this headline not say, do you know what fun I would have had as a nigga with half my face paralyzed, nothing but time to think about how I hate this bitch and work on my joke? The article would have been totally different. This dumb bitch thinks she running for me. She not running for me. I don't want this bitch to run. Why is she running for me? Is she giving me the money? It's to raise awareness. There are other people running. How much awareness is she adding to this cause of brain tumors? You know how much
essentially.
awareness she could have added? She could have added awareness to people helping people with brain tumors. But she doesn't have that experience, does she? Because she left. So
She
why is
ran.
there a news article about her?
I
Why
think
is
it's
this
because
article about her?
the author was like,
Why is
"Oh,
it
this
from
is
this
funny,
point of view?
man." And he's like, I'm gonna get the scandal out here, man." Because I'm pretty sure other people read it and thought the exact same thing. It's comical in the sense that like there's so much more she could have done by not doing this
Yeah.
performative crap. That's the only way I can explain it.
Okay.
Because it's exactly what it is. It's just performative, where she just goes out running, but at the same time, like, dude, the guy can't blink. Like, the eye drops would help way more than the marathon. And I don't think she could understand that. And like even when they explains like the way she started acting sick, it's like, dude, is she the one with the cancer? Like the dude's one is freaking out. His anxiety's going off like crazy. He's got to take probably lithium and a bunch of other drugs and stuff like that. He's also having to deal with the fact he's about to have his head opened up. You know, like what was he doing? Was he
Also,
vomiting
his
at work? Like,
girlfriend left him.
yeah, his girlfriend just left him too because she freaked out that he's gonna have his head opened up. Like, dude,
Ah,
I don't understand why.
it's wild.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I guess you did it to make yourself feel better, but no, this should be celebrated.
I'm still not mad at her. I'm mad at him. He facilitated this. because they had to go to him for comment. He gave them this quote. Let me scroll down back to the quote. He had to give this to them. She said she was going to marathon. I must have had my doubts. I got so much respect for her discipline and perseverance. He gave them these quotes. I blame him. I 100% blame him. The reason why this is an article, in my opinion, is because of him. If he didn't cooperate, I don't think this would have become the article that it is today. He cooperated. He's the reason why. And we probably shouldn't blame him because it's so easy to blame men and not hold women accountable, even though she's the reason why this thing is also.
We should blame him, but you're absolutely right, Gene. We should blame him, but because like men do this thing where we coddle women's emotions. Like it takes us to be almost extremely upset or like impartial to the person for us to be honest. We will literally coddle a girl's feelings no matter what, no matter at what detriment to us. For some, I don't know why it's ingrained in us, but we do that shit.
Hold on, I gotta
So
read this. This is a very valid point. Miss Christie said, if she was so unsure how it was going to end up, then maybe they shouldn't have bought a house together. That's wild.
well said, Miss Chrissy. Well said. No, that is wild. They were looking. They bought a house, or they were looking at a house. Was buying a house with Joe in London last year. So they were in process of buying a house,
And then
and
he
she
probably got the
disappeared.
cancer and they probably stopped. Yeah. So they haven't
And
been that
also,
serious.
there's a 5-year age difference, which isn't large. And she just got out her 20s. So like, I just don't think. Look, man. At that age,
Immaturity?
you want it to be you want it to be peaches and cream relationship. Like you're not really. You're almost trying to work your. Okay, so this is my opinion. When I sign up to be with somebody, I've accepted pretty much anything reasonable to deal with, I'll go through. If it's your health is out of control, I'm like that's out of your hands, I'm there. That's my intention. People nowadays date with the intention of working their way up to that. So you almost have to earn those credits. That's the way people date now.
I kind of
You have
disagree
to
with that.
earn those credits to where it's like, oh well, maybe if we had bought the house, I would have stayed. Or maybe if we had did this, you have to almost reach a
Okay.
landmark or a
Okay.
benchmark for it to be like,
Okay.
okay, now it's acceptable for me to sacrifice, or now it's acceptable. Whereas me personally, and I'm not saying this is correct or wrong, but like it's
It's
almost
part of
like
being a relationship. Yeah, it's
yeah,
default. It's default.
yeah,
Well,
hundred
I
percent.
kind of do agree with John because that's actually how I date, but it's not necessarily like a material thing. It's more like an amount of time. Like if we were 6 months in and the person got brain damage, I probably wouldn't keep dating them, but I would come around doing like friend stuff. You know what I mean? Because I remember the emotions I built within the fling and stuff like that. But like 6 years in, 7 years in, I'm probably not gonna break the chain just because they got brain damage all of a sudden and stuff like that.
Can I ask y'all a question? On a
Go for it.
scale of things, right? Based off what Doctor said, because I completely agree with him. Is buying a house higher than dealing with some lower or higher than dealing with somebody who has health condition?
What do you mean by higher? Like commitment wise?
Yeah.
So
Like
is
does
when it comes
does I would say that buying the house signified almost marriage.
I would agree. That's why I assumed some level of strong bond between the relationship because they were in the process of getting a house together. That's why I would want to know how long were you with each other? Because depending how
But
long
then
you're with each other and then the level of commitment in that, you left because he got sick. It's a little
we
wild.
also see she's unreasonable. They could have been dating for 7 months and been looking for a house. We
That's
also know
true.
that this guy was willing to he's dying and he still don't want to hurt this girl feelings. So like
He's a cuck,
there's
like
no
you said. He's
there's
a
no
cuck.
telling. So I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I think buying a house is major. I think that's like next step is marriage. Like if you're buying a home with somebody, I think the next step is
But
logically marriage.
we're also making the assumption that they even want marriage because you marriage. And I made this joke to my girlfriend before we talked about this a few hours ago. Like I was like, I'm willing to put down money these people are probably on the left-leaning side of the political spectrum. And usually people on the left-leaning side of the spectrum, they don't believe in like marriage and stuff like that. So they probably weren't even thinking about marriage. They just wanted something like life. The word I constantly hear is life partners. I don't even know what that means, honestly, without
You
marriage.
talking about like the extreme left?
No, just I don't know, just the Democratic side. What I like, just on the left side. Like if you have a left and a right, they're on the left side. The degree of that left, I don't know, I can't say. But if they vote a certain way, I would say they vote that way.
I get you. I won't argue that point. Um, I think the middle is where most people lie. So if the opportunity, I don't think people are opposed to marriage. I think it takes an extreme to be opposed to marriage. Whereas that to me would be attributed to the extreme left. Whereas like I think the center left or random, the average person is kind of okay with marriage. But
Really? I actually want to
yeah,
talk about this a little bit. I actually disagree. I don't think the average person is. I don't know if I would phrase it okay with marriage, but they're just not like.
they're not opposed.
Well, I would agree with John. They're not opposed, and my reasoning for that is like because divorce is also a very real option. So it's just like why not get married? Like you can always get divorced whenever you want.
See, and this is
So
my issue. Go on, finish your point. I'm
well,
sorry,
well,
Doc.
I get what you're
You're
saying.
about to change the point
Like
though.
it's
Just
more
identify
common
you're going to change the
for
point.
Hold on. Let
it's
Doc
more
go.
common for conservatives to have strong religious beliefs towards spirituality within like the relationship and like the matrimony and all that stuff. So I totally get that. But what I'm saying is that like because divorce is a very real option, it's much easier to go into marriage because there's not the weight of till we die. You know what I mean? So
But that's so important in the marriage aspect.
No,
Taking
but it's
out
not
that
important to your point though. It's
ah
not important to your point. Your point was they're opposed to marriage. Not
yeah, and I
why
don't
they're
think
getting married.
yeah
They're
yeah.
opposed to marriage.
that's fair.
There's the sacredness and the sanctimony of it is definitely
Correct.
bastardized, but
Correct.
it does happen. I mean, how many
Yeah,
people have you seen on memes that are just like, "Yo, bro, I'm thinking about getting married just to split the rent." Like, I mean,
that's wild. I
Ethan
I
said it
don't
best.
like that. I'm
Maybe if
complete.
young men Ethan says maybe if more young men stayed focused on their education, career, and financial stability, they would be able to find a quality woman, I'm assuming, later on in life.
Nah, I disagree with
Yeah,
that wholeheartedly, Ethan. I'm sorry, bro.
yeah, I agree with it actually.
No, I think it's a factor. Like, if you want to find a good woman, having those qualities will help you. But I
Mhm.
don't necessarily. I think it all depends where you look. You cannot have those qualities and still find a good woman. It all depends where you look. And if you have all those qualities, education, career, and finances, but you're out clubbing and partying everywhere, you're not going to find a good woman. It
Disagree
all comes.
because if you are a young man who focused on their education, career, and financial stability, you would be in places where other people did those same things. You don't have to meet the woman in the club just because you go to the club. You can meet her at school, you can meet her at work, or you can meet her at the bank. You know what I'm saying? But you can meet her at any of these three things or establishments where he said you should focus at versus the club. So like I I think if you have those three things or you have majority of those three things, you also are not willing to accept certain things too.
That's fair.
So that your
That's fair.
foundation is stronger, if
That's
you
fair.
will. But it never hurts.
You're
And
right. It
then I
doesn't
think
hurt.
if you focus on those things at a young age, you can prevent some of your dumb from leaking out into actions because you're old enough by the time you finish doing that to say, "Oh, I would have done some dumbass shit."
well, my
I'm just.
rebuttal to that is, what if that person gets
Ethan,
desperate?
I got
Like,
you,
what
boy.
if you have somebody who's like really focused on like the right things, and then
Mhm.
eventually they have a moment of desperation where they cling to a woman that actually, seduces them. That's probably not
This
the
is
kindest
possible.
woman. I mean, like
That's
we're
very
saying this guy
possible.
is like a cuck, and he was just like, he was doing all the right things. He was buying the house and everything like that, and setting everything up. Maybe he was like, "Oh shit, this woman's actually interested in me because I've only been focused on this one thing, and so I haven't spent the time bullshitting and learning what to avoid and what not to avoid." And then he just grabs to whoever grabs him, and then
See,
he
but then
gets
I
fucked
agree
over.
with you. But then what type of education did you receive? Then what type of
Ha
career
ha
did you
ha
focus on? Because
ha.
if you were going to school, you didn't interact with another single human being and gain any life experience. That's one thing. If you ostracize yourself, you went to online school, maybe you never
It's happened a lot more
spoke to
often.
a woman, so a woman can be intimidating to you. Therefore she can manipulate you just by offering sex or just by offering anything sensual, then you cling to it and then you end up stuck in a relationship. I get that. That happens. That's 100% true. But if you go to school, the stuff that happens, the stuff that's supposed to happen traditionally, along with those other things,
Supposed
will,
to happen.
yeah, no, 100%. But it's more likely to happen than not. It's not.
I'm
We're
more
not.
cynical. I'm more cynical. I admit, I'm
Yeah,
more
I
cynical
see
about
that,
that.
but it's just not realistic. Just think about who's going to school now. Dumb people are going to school. Like, I'm not even saying that to be mean. Like, people
I'm
who
being mean.
sincerely just don't care about other shit are going to school as a means to just, you know, get
Pass
to
the
the next
time.
step. It's just
It's a status
so it's
thing.
like
I went to school. It's a
exactly.
status
So
thing.
like
It's yeah.
if you're a jock and you're in school, you've been fucking the cheerleaders your whole life or whatever it is, you're not gonna be sold on that dumbass shit. You're still gonna be a dude with an education. You're still gonna be a dude who focused on his career. You're still gonna be da da da. You're gonna be going for that dumbass shit. I think the average person, yeah, the average male may be in decline as far as social interaction with women and being able to control or I guess hold their own is the best way to say it. Hold their own. But also too, we're creating on the flipping, we're creating people who are super good at it. Super good at it. I mean, that's all they do. So the balance will find itself.
I admit, like I'm a little more nihilistic and cynical. I just think there's not a lot of good men and good women out there, and I think all the good men
I
are
agree with
out
that.
hiding, and I think same with the women. All the good women are hiding. Like I associate, maybe this is me being a little prideful, egotistical, but I think all three of us, like we're good guys. But you don't find us out and about. We're doing our own thing. We're making our we're doing our own thing. We're not out really being social. Like the only reason why I found I would have never found my girlfriend if it wasn't for me utilizing dating apps. But I had to be more purposeful and specific in the apps I
Which
use.
is
Like I
so
found
funny. Which is so fucking funny that Gene found his girlfriend on a dating app. Because I would love for you guys to go back to some of our older episodes where we were speaking about dating apps. And Gene said,
it was a Christian dating app. It was a Christian dating app. I was talking about Tinder, Bumble, and all of those. Anyway, finish your point. I interrupted you. I had to make a
no,
clarification.
no, that was,
I had
that
to
was,
make a
that was
distinction there.
no, 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 that was all. But
but
you
but
said
you're
you were
right. But
more
you are right though.
It's the
you
great
said you were more
irony.
nihilistic and something cynical because you felt that
All the good people are in hiding.
oh, boom. That's where I disagreed. I don't think all the good people are hiding. I think all the good people haven't been made yet. I think they're an experience or two away from becoming good people. I I wasn't always a good person. You weren't always a good person either. So
That's
like
fair.
it
That's
takes
fair.
time, it takes experience, it takes interacting. Unfortunately for some people, the interaction cost them their relationship. So you may view that person as a bad
Mm,
person, but they may
okay.
grow and do something different next. But I just don't think there's enough experience actually for people to realize that you should be. I mean, it sounds dumb saying it, but you should be good. You should try and be understanding. Like,
Yeah, see, that's
come
always
on, man.
something I've wondered. Like, if somebody who just focuses on school and focuses on, good money and stuff like that, eventually becomes repressed to the point to where when they finally hit the streets, they're like extremely savage. Like, that is in itself a very real possibility. Whereas somebody who's already
Agreed.
done that and has already maybe made their mistakes is like, nah, I'm not. Like, I've seen the light. Like, I'm not going that way anymore. And then, they can just pivot. But I think it's very real
Friends
for
are
another
important.
person to, yeah, to make the reverse, I guess, pivot.
That's why friends are important, dude.
Very true.
That's
That
why
goes back to
friends
what
are really,
goes
really
back to
important.
the point we say almost every episode is the tested reality is true reality. And if you have a certain
Reality, that's
perspective on the
100%.
world, you better have friends to bounce that reality off of because you could be warped and jaded.
It's especially like, I mean, it's one thing to have friends with opposing views, which is cool, but it's it's almost I would consider it a blessing to talk to you guys because your points of views are refined enough to a level where I don't have to. There's certain parts of the point of view that I don't have to engage in because there's already understood. So like we can really literally talk about the details because we understand understand where you guys are coming from when you're speaking.
I think it's key not to attack like people. If you can go straight for the idea and you can cut away, and that's kind of like the friendship aspect where it's just like, oh well, like I want to hang out next week, so I understand that you're not the problem, bro. So I'm just gonna figure out like why this is a key issue, and from what my experience brings to the table, and just discuss it.
Yeah, like I said the last time, when Doc and I got into a heated argument, we were sitting there debating intently about abortion, and the following day we're playing Magic.
Yeah.
I attack you for 2 points.
Dude, people still tell me about that episode. Like, no, just no.
Is that the one where I was just like, yo, like 5, 7, that'd be
Yeah,
good.
when you were freestyling abortion numbers, yeah, that's the episode.
That's still wild to me. All
Oh
right,
man, that shit was hilarious.
that was
You want to
funny.
get to the next one?
Let's get to the assisted suicide one. All right. Good Doc.
That was a well-timed bottle pop, by the way, because you said assisted suicide one, and it said,
All right. So if y'all don't know, I don't know the nuances of the legality and if it's I don't know specifically what's going on in Canada, but you can now get assisted suicide in Canada. And here's a story to start the conversation, which was, well, real quick, let me address Ethan's comment since it was about the last topic. Focusing on yourself and avoiding the relationship trap early in life allows you to get to where you want to be and learn who you are.
"There you go, my boy. Big facts." And guess what? You learn that by being in a relationship early.
Yeah, I was about to say though, but you got the irony in that. All right, so,
Man,
or the paradox in that. So, model shares final moments with grandma before euthanasia. Quote: "Live well, die well." So, real quick, let's watch the video. Ian, go ahead and play the video, and then let's react. It's like a minute long.
What are your thoughts as you like move closer to the date?
It's like the light at the end of the tunnel.
What are some of the precursors, like the questions they ask to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons?
Your diagnosis is, if it's fatal, how many more months you have. They give you time to consider. They keep stressing the fact that you can always change your mind.
What is the actual day like?
I know, like, they set an appointment, special injection, putting you to sleep, and the big pain is the prick in the hand to provide for the little valves, and then once you're in a deep sleep, there are two other injections you get. At that point you go. So it's painless.
Would you prefer it be at home?
Well, I think in my case I would like to do it at the hospital. I came in quietly. I'd like to go out quietly.
Are you nervous? Are you
Thank goodness to
excited?
what?
How do you feel?
Looking forward to it. Just putting an end to being dependent, no control.
So as the day approaches, is it something you're thinking about every day, or
No.
just
No.
it's going to happen when
No.
it happens?
Yeah. When I'll be ready, I'll know.
Yeah.
I've always made my own decisions for myself. In living, I trust I will in death. I do believe my husband is there saying it's above time.
if you die, your husband with another bitch in heaven, crazy.
I was gonna go
Yo,
a
I
darker
didn't
route.
expect you. It's not
was-
what it looked like.
I was gonna go a darker route. So
Oh God, Gene, don't do it. Gene, don't do it. We don't
It's
know what
suicide.
wars you fought in.
at
We
the
don't
end
know
of the
what
day,
wars you fought in.
at the end of the day, it's suicide. All right, let me read this real quick. So, a model granddaughter has gone public in support of her terminally ill grandmother's decision to end her life on her own terms. Quote: "It's the light at the end of the
Why
tunnel."
is it important she's a model?
Because she's an influencer, I think. So they're trying to, like, I don't know, give credence to who she is or
She does
credibility or
look like
something like
Khloe
that.
Kardashian.
You know what? I give it to you. You're right. I had to go back and look.
Absolutely right. That was not negotiable.
Victoria's Secret catwalker Ali Tate Cutler filmed an emotional conversation with her buddy, Bubby, who will soon be euthanized in Canada. She uploaded the footage to TikTok on Saturday, where it quickly clocked more than 3.2 million views and divided opinions. While Cutler, 32, is based in Austin, Texas, Bubby resides in Canada, where euthanasia has been legal for adults since 2016. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Interesting. The practice, known as medical assistance in dying, has drawn criticism in the past 2 years after Canadian lawmakers loosened the criteria for those who can qualify. Quick context, there's been issues when it comes to homeless people. They've allowed homeless people to for this, so, and then also when it comes to depression, people with depression can now opt in for this. So that's caused issues because now it's like you're killing off the homeless and the depressed. So it's controversial in that regard. Before we dive into that, let me finish it out. Bubby has been battling cancer but has not disclosed her name, age, or the date she has chosen to end her life. Speaking with the Post on Tuesday, Cutler said she spent an emotional final week with her grandmother in Canada, where she filmed the footage that she later posted to her TikTok. Quote, I'm a spiritual person and I signed up for the ride, the full spectrum of options, the model declared. What? We spent time talking and laughing together, going over memories. Watching her die well has been the biggest gift. Cutler told the Post that she was initially opposed to the practice of euthanasia until seeing the pain her grandmother was in. Quote, I didn't think much about the ethics of it before, she stated. This is the first person I've really been close to who is dying, and it's completely changed my mind. I don't even think we need to be more. It probably goes more into it. So what are y'all's opinions about this?
Grandma want to go. Grandma want to go. I don't agree with it, but I'm sure she didn't agree with it at first.
I mean, she clearly said
Um,
she kind of didn't.
I'm drawn. I'm, it's a weird space to be when you genuinely feel something, but you still decide to post it for social media.
That's the biggest issue. I have two problems with this, but finish your point before I cut in.
It's just like you don't want to take away from her genuine feelings, but there's no way you're not monetizing what's going on. Is that wrong in a capitalist society? Is there a line, or is it almost informative to go on this journey with them and to see like I don't know, dude. It'd just be tough for me if I was the grandchild to.
I think it's the tone of the video though, because when I saw it and it said like all the headlines like model this, model that, Victoria's Secret's person does this, I'm like, it's probably gonna be like a clout video. But then you watch it and it's mostly just the grandmother talking about like her feelings, her perspective, her thoughts as somebody who's about to make a decision that's obviously controversial. And it wasn't really on the girl as much as it was mostly on the grandmother. So I didn't like feel offended by this, or like this person
Yeah.
was trying to utilize their grandmother's situation for profit. Like I think she was just trying to show the world and be informative.
Yeah,
It's a
I
good
agree.
topic.
Yeah, I agree with Doc. At first, I was preparing myself to be triggered because I had the same assumption, like this might be just another influencer, TikToker trying to get some clout through the death of her grandmother. But when you watch the video, it didn't come across that way. But I still do have conflicting emotions because I come from one side, which is I think it's weird that we're opening an avenue for people to legally suicide themselves, medically suicide themselves. I just think that's a weird door that we're going to walk through. Like there's obvious ramifications for this. There's obviously slippery slopes for this that we're not addressing or even thinking about going down. And one of
I
them
mean,
I kind of
if you have to have a terminal disease to do it, then I think that
I
slippery slope is kind of avoided.
well the slippery slope I'm referring to is when they expanded the qualifications for it. And the expansion
It
has gone
shouldn't.
to in the expansions have gone to the homeless people and the mentally depressed. Like if I'm severely depressed, I can opt in for being assisted suicide. Why? If I'm homeless, I can opt in for assisted suicide. Why? Like that's where I'm talking about the slippery slope.
Disrespectful, though.
The terminally ill, it's hard for me to argue because it's like you're already gonna die. You don't want to go through the pain, so you rather do it on your terms. I, as a Christian, still have problems with that, but I don't want to impose too much of
Understandable.
my personal beliefs on you on that. Like that's your choice. Like go for it. But I have issue with that as a Christian. But if we go into the aspects of they expanded it now to where homeless and depressed people can do for this, that seems weird. Like why are we killing off homeless? Why are we letting? I don't know.
I
I just
agree
think
with you
that's I
completely.
think that's
And
weird.
I'm always tired of people always, why do we always have to take it there? Like, there's not one thing that humans do where we're like, you know what? That's enough. Like, why do we always have to take it there? Like, to your point of the slippery slope, even nowadays in 2023, if you accept something reasonable, you might be accepting something unreasonable with it just because we have to take it there because semantics exist, technicalities exist, and I'm allowed to talk to you. And you know where this actually all started? If I'm really just ranting, the government speak, all of that let me say something to you that I know is wrong, but technically, because the verbiage is right, I can get away with saying this or doing this. Allows a lot of shit to go under the goddamn the gray area or whatever. And if it's in the gray area, you can change the interpretation of it. And so because we have so much shit like that, we do something reasonable. There are people suffering in pain every day that can't deal with the pain that want to be euthanized. That's what it was for. Now, to your point, we're gonna be, oh, if you're sad on Wednesday, sign right up, line up, get your shot, be done with this bullshit.
It's like
We
Futurama in the
always
first episode, and he shows up to the future, and he goes to the booth, and he's just like, "Oh shit, you want to get in this?" But I do agree with John. I think it actually is government that the slippery slope is happening, because it sounds like it's lobbying. Like they
100%.
brought in this policy, and then some guy looked at the homeless people outside and was just like, "Yo, what if we expand it? What if we have a problem?"
Population control.
Yeah, like, well, what if we just kind of open that up a bit? And then from there, it just kind of spirals down. With that, I definitely do disagree. I do think that people who want to commit suicide through the form of euthanasia to avoid terrible ends or to do it on their terms, to an extent, is warranted or something that they should have the option to do. And by what I mean an extent is like, I don't agree with like a 20-year-old mad at the world, just doing it themselves and stuff like that. Like I really
Like,
don't.
is there an age limit? Or I don't know if they specify an age limit or not. Like, if you have severe depression but you're under 25, like you can't do it. Like, I don't know if they have age limits.
Yeah,
I haven't looked deep into that, but based off what I've been seeing, like it doesn't seem like there's an age limit. It's just if you're homeless, you can opt in. If you got depression, you can opt in. It's just like, why are we expanding it so far to where it's like certain things I personally don't think should be included are included. It's like John was alluding to. There's like ulterior motives going on here.
well, if there's hope, I think is really the key thing to look for. Like if there's hope, then I don't think it should be offered to them. For like old people that have terminally ill diseases or are approaching an age where they're gonna start like shitting the bed and not being able to go to the restroom on their own or take a bath by themselves or anything like that. If they want that, if they want to go out and they've already lived 80 something years and want to go out, being able to speak to their family, being able to control their bowels, being able to like have some dignity, then I totally agree with that. Because honestly, like watching a human, we do it to animals. Like we do it to a dog when it like can't, you know, hold its bowels anymore and stuff like that, and it's falling apart. Like we don't have a problem with that. But when it's a person, obviously there's more emotional value, and there's like all kinds of like belief systems and stuff like that for what the soul is of the human. But why won't we just do it for the person and give it the same dignity we're willing to give the dog? So I genuinely think at some point, I genuinely think at some point, like they should be allowed. It's just it's a weird line to tread. Like if they initially put in the law and the law just said only terminal ill diseases and stuff like that, or even just like excruciating diseases, like stuff where like the person is just going to be in pain for years and years on end. Yeah, give them the option.
All right, like John said, let me read some of these comments. So we got Ethan and we got the Banding Cowboy. So Ethan Chan, I am all in for people unaliving themselves as long as they are adults and are mentally sound. Everyone has their own limits. I can tell you with 100% seriousness that if the day comes that I can't take care of myself, I will unalive myself. I don't want to live that way, and that is my limit. No one should be able to prevent me from doing that. And then we got the Bedding Cowboy. Let people make their own choices. They free to do it. Do it nicely. Respect to people unaliving themselves. Also, maybe the depression and homelessness one should have more counselors before allowing it. It is weird they determine homelessness. Yeah, like I said, I come from like a Christian perspective, so that's why I don't want to share too much of my opinion because obviously people don't share my perspective. But I just don't think the answer is suicide. Even if you're going through like some kind of crazy illness where it's painful, I still don't think I should go out to the back of my yard and just take a shotgun to my head. Like I've heard that joke sometimes. Even my dad jokes about saying it. Like if I got Alzheimer's and I can't this, I want you kid to take me out to the backyard and just set me off. But that's a little bit different because it's not him suiciding. It's still a problem for me. Like I wouldn't want to do that. I just think there's so many other potential avenues you could potentially do before that does not result in you having to do some kind of suicide. But that comes in my Christian beliefs personally. I just don't think that's the answer. Some people do. You have that right and that choice. I will not take that right away from you, but I personally vehemently disagree with it.
Can I ask you a question? Um, I don't agree with suicide either, but I also draw the line at telling people what to do. So if you want to do it, I guess
I'm gonna disagree
your
with you, but hey,
choice.
man, at the end of the day, it's your
It
choice.
is your choice. But can I ask you, are you talking about for people who aren't terminally ill, there's other steps, is what you're saying? There's other
I,
steps you take before that?
all of it, like even the ones who aren't terminally ill, the ones who are terminally ill, like the people who are terminally ill. The only reason why they classify them as terminally ill is because they, in their own medical knowledge, have no way to like resolve the issue. So if they can't do anything for you, go to outside the doctors, try something else. I don't know, herbs, experimental procedures and drugs. Like try something. Just don't give up. Try something. And if your efforts to try something result in your death, you tried. At least you tried.
I get you.
That's my take on it. Like for
I
example,
will
with our
say, I have an uncle who's I think he's stage 4 now. He came back. He he was dealing with it in London, and he flew to uh, Nigeria to try alternative methods. And he's fighting the fight or whatever. But to your point, what you actually made me think of was the pain is part of the life. So I get the pain being unbearable, and who am I to tell you how much you can take? But the pain is also part of the gift of life if you believe
life is a gift.
life is a gift. So I think, sounds sucky to say, I think you gotta thug it out.
Yeah, exactly. I know it
And
sounds sucky to say.
it sounds really crappy to say, but I think you really gotta I mean, if you believe in that type of stuff.
That's
But
why
if
it
you
goes to
don't
Ethan's
believe in
comment.
that type of stuff, go for it. But I was just saying,
No,
if you don't believe in that type of stuff, then I can't blame you for like it's not in your foundation. So why would
yeah,
you even like
I agree. But what you just said goes to Ethan's comment because he just said, "I watched my father die a painful death. No one should be forced to go through that." And my only rebuttal to you, Ethan, is you're like we just got done saying, pain's a part of life. Like, unfortunately, like I know this sounds asshole, but he wasn't forced to go through it. It was just part of the experience. Unfortunately, it, like life didn't just like say because of you we're going to give you pain because hey screw you. It's like I don't know. Death and pain involved in death is very tricky, and we never honestly, as a society, talk about it. It's a very I don't know if it's taboo, but it's just something we never address. I come from the perspective similar to John, which is it's part of the experience. As morbid as it is, it's part of the experience. And who are you to deny yourself that experience? And that comes from my Christian faith because I think we're put on this earth to experience certain things for some greater purpose, greater good. And if part of that experience is you got to deal with this painful death, you pray to God there's a reason for it. You pray to God there's a reason for it. You got an opinion, Doc?
blame
You
you?
kind of
I don't blame you for doing it though, by the way. Like
yeah, like
if
it.
you unalive yourself, I just can't do it.
Yeah, I would suffer. It would suck, but I would suffer through it.
I still
But
think
granted,
like it's a strong decision. Like
it is.
making that call to just be like, no, I'm doing this because it's just
Oh, yeah.
like I'm falling to pieces. That's the only situation where I can think about it, where it's just like the person is falling to pieces, and they're just like, before I become a burden on others, I am going to do this, just so that I can at least have like, it is prideful, just to have the pride of the way you used to be.
Blood on your shield.
But yeah, but I like at the same time, like that's not an easy decision for anybody. So that's why I don't kind of really knock anybody for making that call. Like, it's ironic because I'm about to go watch a zombie movie, and I've always had this thought, like if I got bit,
I'm done.
like
See, that's
like
what you just changed my whole mind. I'm done.
yeah, like if I got
Unalived
bit,
immediately.
I'm not gonna just be around y'all like, hey guys, I'm gonna wait to turn and like I'm gonna keep fighting for, I'm gonna keep trying to
It's
find the
cool
cure to.
tattoo.
It's like I'd rather just fucking just be like, nah, y'all don't have to worry about me. Like I'm gonna go over there to myself and I'm gonna deal with it. And
You ain't
like,
gonna be a zombie.
No,
yeah, like
it's a different thing. Like I wouldn't suicide, but I would. This is a dramatic example,
Assisted suicide.
it's
but
the movie example, yeah.
it's a dramatic example. But yeah, I would look at John and I would hand the shock and be like, I'm not going to be a zombie, and I'm not going to accidentally kill you or kill my brothers or kill my family. Like there, it's a. I think it's a bad example, but
You end up a zombie.
nevertheless,
I wouldn't do that shit.
yeah. But see, that's a dilemma now because I'm forcing you to kill me to prevent me from being a harm to everyone else around us. Like,
You
and
tied to
I'm not.
a tree in a chain, and you a zombie.
Yeah, I feel like
That's
I
just
totally in that situation, in this hypothetical situation, I totally understand when people are like, dude, I don't want to live eventually like that. And I know it's a far off extreme, but I do think to some extent, like once the mind goes, like yeah, they're still alive, but like they're they're not really
if you
fully
can
there. Like
suffer.
if they have like a stroke or something like that, like they can
Yeah,
kind of get to that similar style of life. And if the person just doesn't want to reach that version of
I don't blame
themselves,
him.
then I don't blame them.
I don't blame him. I just know I couldn't do it. So I don't even know if my decision is based off weakness or strength. I'm not categorizing anybody unaliving themselves as weak at all. I'm just saying
Just
I
based off my faith, that's
personally,
where I come from.
based on my convictions,
Yeah.
I would think about it, but it would just be like a constant battle, and I I just couldn't. But
All right.
hey, zombie, let me get bit by a zombie.
Hell no. Let me address Ethan's comment. So he said, "You guys are saying that through the lens of young men. We all see ourselves as invincible and believe that there's always a chance. When you get to my age where there are more years behind you than in front, you want to live a quality life, and when your life stops being quality, then it's time to step off the ledge." Man, I disagree, man, but I don't know. I disagree. Because at
No,
that point,
the only part I disagree with, I don't view myself as invincible. I'm just saying me personally. I'm talking about me personally from my own physical being. I can't stop somebody or judge anybody else. Like this lady doesn't seem like a coward. Like
I mean, she's choosing death. I would argue that's not cowardly, in my opinion. But
gladiator.
yeah, she's approaching it head on. Associating cowardice to it, I don't think is applicable. Maybe you could make the argument, but I think it'd be a reach. But I agree with Ethan that we are looking through it through a lens of young men. But I agree with John. I disagree that we're acting like we're invincible. Maybe when we were younger, like in our teens and 20s, but I do not think I'm invincible. I just got done hurting my ankle
My
playing
knees
volleyball.
creak.
Yeah,
My
I'm very.
knees creak when I bend over.
I
My
am not.
back gives out. Look.
I am very aware that the naive invincibility feeling I had in my 20s and college and like high school years is definitely
Wrong.
behind me. But I will
I'm made of
concede that
marshmallow.
this is still a young mentality or viewpoint. But
Correct.
it's mainly, I won't speak for John, but for me, it's mainly through a faith-based lens. Like it's wrong, it's frowned upon, it's honestly a sin to kill yourself, to take your own life.
And
Because
for me, I agree with Gene. I mean, just from my point of view, I mine isn't necessarily faith. I I do believe in God, but I kind of boiled my all of my religious beliefs down to life is a gift. And so if I start and end there, I just need to be appreciative of the gift. So whatever may come with the gift is whatever may come with the gift. I don't think too deep or past that, or you know what I'm saying.
a similar thing, but more of like experience, not necessarily experiences, but like every single life, your life, Doc's life, my parents, your parents, friends, random people I met in college, every single life has an impact on those lives. They affect us either good or bad. There's influences on there. Even in my death, it's influencing someone. Specifically speaking, I would argue my parents, my siblings, my grandchildren, or they're like, if there's an influence, there's a reason for it. They get to experience death through me, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. My death gives them some perspective, some level of experience that will help them in their growth. By me denying them that experience through some level of suicide is where I think it's wrong. Like that's
I think that
like
changes the experience though. If you kill yourself or if you die by murder, whatever it is, if you just die
it's
by
no, but it's the same thing. It's wrong. Murder is someone else taking their life early. You're denying someone's influence in this world, whether it's good or
cancer out
bad.
here murdering folks.
It is. And there's arguments to why cancer is a prevalent thing nowadays, but we won't get into that. But like, I just think when it comes to death, when you take it into your own hands, it's murky territory. Just period. When you take death into your own hands, you're dabbling in murky territory. And I try my best to like stay out of it because it's murky territory. Ethan
You,
said, oh no, it was
you
the
just come
banding
back
cowboy.
like a video
We
game. Really
Banding
don't matter.
Cowboy said we should look through the lens of instead of assisted suicide, it should be voluntary human sacrifice to other gods.
Bringing it back.
The Mayans, let's
The
go.
Mayans, I was about to say the Mayans and the Aztecs. This guy. That's
We're gonna
wild.
sacrifice you to the Anunnaki.
The Anunnaki. This guy.
We'll be back there, but like, yo, it hasn't rained in a bit. We should probably see if anyone wants to volunteer. Like,
Oh no, we
That's
got a straggler back there. I think we could.
make a donation real quick. All right. Any last takes?
I love
not
this.
for me.
The two topics, even though we kind of got off, I like where they went.
Any last comments you guys want to chime in there? I know we kind of a little bit of back and forth there, Ethan. I don't know if you have any other
Also,
opinions to share.
thank you, Ethan and Jamie and Miss Chrissy for engaging. We appreciate the conversation.
Makes it more fun, like sharing perspectives. Like this is what makes conversations fun, is these battling, these challenging, throwing perspectives on the wall and seeing what sticks, seeing what bounces. And I just find this fun. Banding Cowboy said these crops ain't growing fast enough. Hey, big facts. We got farming issues going on, but that's not because of the world. That's because of government and the regulation. But I won't get into that. We'll call it here. That's enough fake deep thinking, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thanks for sharing y'all's comments. If you haven't liked the video already, like the video now. If you haven't left a comment, leave a comment. Tell us how much you hate us, how much you love us. And if you haven't shared the video, share the video, and let's get more people in this conversation, and let's start sharing ideas. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Is anybody patriotic anymore?
Is anybody?
Because even the right doesn't like America.
No, they don't like the government. No. I would
Yeah,
disagree with
America.
that. I don't think the government is
So when
one
did
and one
they?
with
So
America.
when?
I think
So 15 years
personally,
ago, they liked the government.
I think
There was
that's
Yeah.
flags and all that shit.
I
Now
think
they
that's the
don't like
big
the government.
irony.
There's less flags around. Why?
I,
Yeah, I think the Great Divide is causing a huge irony with
I
like
think
who
nobody's
wants
patriotic
to
for
be
real.
patriotic exactly. Because you remember like post 9/11, I know we were like little kids when it happened, and some people probably in the chat are like we're old enough
It was in
to
New York.
really comprehend it. But like I remember post 9/11, like there were flags everywhere. Everyone was on the same team. Like it was just like, all right, we know what we got to do.
America.
But now
yeah,
I think everyone wants their own version of America, and so it's causing a huge issue where
I
Well
agree
nobody's
with
said.
kind of
that.
Well
getting any
said.
version.
Well said.
I agree with that.
Well
Yep.
said. We end with that. Well said. Well
All right.
said.
Well, I'm going to end on Ethan's comment. He did leave a comment. Let's address that real quick and then we'll end. He said other people's religion should play no part in other people's decisions of unaliving themselves. I agree. And John and I never once said that our religious beliefs should affect their decisions. At the end of the day, because of my religious faith-based beliefs, I disagree with it. But I would never utilize my religion to stop you from making that choice. I would just be on the sideline saying, bad idea, don't do it.
Unless
That'd
you're
be me.
Buddhist
That'd be
and you're just gonna
me.
come right back with less lives. So
Yeah, they love us military, stand for the national anthem, and there are plenty of flags in places outside of blue cities. I agree with Ethan. Honestly, that's where I come from. I just think there's a difference between being patriotic and loving your government. If one thing I
I
think y'all,
agree. I was being facetious. I was just
uh,
stating a point. I was just observing that the same people who liked every part of the country 10, 15 years ago now have flipped.
because
There were people, the the naive people who believed that everything was in the up and up. Let me put it like this.
the
There are
veil has
people who
been
act surprised.
destroyed. That's
There
why the
are
veil
people
is
who act
gone.
surprised that the government is doing what they're doing because the government has chosen new targets.
That was me.
So
I'll confess. I was one of those naive guys. You would be so annoyed with some of my opinions on and stances on things. You just give me a look like, really, Sheen? And then like,
not real life.
it's not real life. And then, like I said, the veil is gone. People are not
Welcome to the
naive
party.
anymore to the corruption that is our U.S. government. Anyway,
Which
I
has
don't.
always been corrupt.
It's always been corrupt.
So when has there been something to be patriotic about?
Very fair. I don't like.
Damn,
I
this
think
conversation
I
sucks.
think it does suck. I'll end with I think you can be patriotic without supporting the government because patriotism doesn't mean you support the government. It means, in my opinion, you support the people. It's about the people. Government is the
Okay.
and yeah. That I
Okay.
don't want. I'm gonna stop there.
Okay. I support the people. I support the people, Ethan. Okay. I'm with you.
But the politicians, y'all gotta go. Iron
Those aren't
Squad.
people. Those are reptilian aliens.
Yeah. All right. Now we're done. Enough empty thinking. We'll see y'all probably in 2 weeks. Because, like I said, I don't know if you were at the beginning with us, Ethan, but I'll be in Wisconsin for 2 weeks learning how to farm. So we'll be on a hiatus for, I think, 2 weeks. So we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Peace.
I'm gonna be
Thanks for making it to
microdosing.
the end.
Peace.
Really appreciate it and hope you all enjoyed the show.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and the notification bell to get notified when we post our clips.
Follow us on Twitter at PodcastFDT. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are all fake deep thinking. Check us out, please.
FDT. Peace, y'all.
Peace.